Okay, I wasn't even expecting to do a review this week, but after playing Legends of Keeper Prologue, I knew I had to talk about it. It's a reverse dungeon crawler where you play as a dungeon master, with your goal to defeat the heroes using various monsters, traps, and spells to your advantage. It sounds pretty interesting, but can it capitalize on the concept? Even though this game is currently free as it is ultimately a demo for the main title, I did receive a free code from Goblin Studios. While I do appreciate the code, it will not deter me from a fair and honest review. As you start a new game, you only have one out of the 3 monsters to pick. The other 2 monsters will be available in the full game. This is your character, as you will serve as the main boss for each level. So the basic gameplay loop is divided into 2 sections, the dungeon phase and the management phase. For the dungeon phase, your goal is to prevent the 3 heroes from making it all the way to the end and defeating you for honor and glory. You place down your monsters and your traps. Monsters and traps can only be placed in certain rooms, and the game lets you choose from a selection of your own monsters. The layout of each dungeon changes, but it will always consist of 2 monster rooms, 2 trap rooms, 1 spell room, and ends with the boss room. The combat in this game works very well. It's a very fast and fluid turn-based system, mainly since your monsters will be weaker than the adventurers they face. However, they can do significant damage and even kill adventurers before they wind up to you. It also helps that there is a good variety of monsters that all feel unique. So while the pacing is very fast, there's still much depth in every move you make. While killing these heroes sounds like the main goal, you can also demoralize them. Certain attacks affect morale instead of health. Deplete this and the enemy will run away. This is actually a very viable strategy, as some enemies have high health but very low morale. Sometimes your monsters, traps, and spells won't be enough to stop these brave heroes, and it comes down to you to save the day, or ruin it depending on your perspective. While you want to avoid this room for various reasons, it's satisfying as hell feeling like an unkillable boss as you endure waves and waves of relentless attacks only to destroy them in 1 or 2 hits. It's incredibly cathartic, especially after all the trouble these noble souls have given you. You have to win every dungeon phase, since losing one will get you fired. The underworld has to protect its investment, and if you fail at that, it's off to the unemployment line. No more cash money for you, boy! But losing does have its benefits, as you can use the experience you have gained and level up your character to give yourself an early boost when you start a new game. So this is just the dungeon side of this game, but there's also a very interesting management that is equally as important. Each week, you choose what to do based on the options given to you. Some weeks will be dungeon week, while others will focus more on personnel and training yourself. It's important this isn't neglected, as the heroes will get tougher. Simply put, poor management will lead to poor performance. There are also many random events that can be both beneficial and detrimental. Many involve your monsters going on strike if you don't pay their demands, or doing something stupid to get themselves hurt and hinder your chances in the next dungeon. I honestly try to avoid these, as the beneficial ones are not worth the risk, as the detrimental ones can take out your best monsters for weeks. There's also a ton more to do, visiting merchants, transmuting artifacts, paying taxes, donating blood, learning new abilities, and a ton more I forgot to write down. One thing to note is that gold is not the only currency used. There's also blood gained from killing heroes and tears gained from demoralizing them. This adds incentive to mix up the way you deal with heroes, as neglecting one can prevent you from getting some awesome abilities. While both phases of gameplay are very enjoyable, I prefer the management side of things. I like getting new badass monsters to play with and leveling up, as well as finding more ways to make that cash money, boy! Overall, this game is freaking fantastic, and I'm incredibly excited to play the main game. The combat is fun, the management side is very enjoyable, and it feels very fresh. While it can get a bit repetitive on repeat playthroughs, I highly recommend for all of you to try out this game, especially since it's free. In Goblin Studios, I would love to review the main game for you guys. Just hit me up with a free key, you know where to find me. As always, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe and hit the bell as well. This is Pow3rh0use, signing off.